Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the Nope Trope Book Tag. So this book tag was created by Zoe over at Zoe's All Booked, who will of course be linked down below along with the original video, but I was tagged by Holly from Spoopy Hole, who again will be linked down below, so check both of them out. So this is just a really short, fun, quick book tag which is based off different tropes, and that's what the prompts are made out of, and there's only 6 of them, so hopefully it shouldn't be too long a video, but I'm pretty much gonna get straight into it. I had quite a hard time picking books for this. I really struggled to come up with answers, but I think I've got some good ones, and I've definitely got some controversial opinions in here. So the first prompt is eavesdropping with miscommunication, and that is to name a book that you heard really great things about, thought you were going to love, but kind of ended up hating. And first, I need to say, oh my gosh, do I also hate this trope. It's so annoying. Like, eavesdropping's bad enough, that's just rude and annoying as it is, but miscommunication? Have a conversation. The number of times I've been reading a book and I'm just screaming at it, please talk to each other. It would solve so much so quickly, but that's just my quick aside, but I need to answer the question. So this is probably the most controversial of my answers, but I'm gonna go with Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. I heard the most phenomenal things about this from the second it came out until the second I read it, and I really thought I would love it. I really thought I would love this book. It sounded fascinating, it sounded just well written. I was bored witless through most of this. I really had to force myself to keep reading. Most of the characters annoyed me. There were very few I sympathised with. Everyone just kind of acted badly and was annoying. And then, I don't know, I'm not even sure who you were meant to sympathise with. I can't remember the characters' names. I kind of sympathised with Mia, especially when you finally got her backstory. But also then at the end, she kind of ruined any sympathy I had with her by the way she acted. Pearl was all right, very nondescript, not dynamic character. Mrs. Richardson was just bloody annoying, if I'm honest. I just couldn't bear following her story at all. So yeah, I ended up really not enjoying this at all. I might try Celeste Ng again in future. I would like to, because I've heard amazing things and I would love to love this book as much as everyone else. But I really didn't at all. It just bored me and it has put me off the idea of reading more Celeste Ng. But if you really want to try and convince me in the comments that I should give another one of her books a go, I could probably still be convinced, so feel free to try. Or if you agree with me, let me know, because I need to find other people who don't like this book, because so far I can't find any and I'm feeling very alone in this opinion. So the second prompt is using the trope love triangle, and it is to name a series where you can't pick a favourite book. And fittingly, the series I'm choosing is actually a trilogy, very suitable for a triangle, and that is, oh this is heavy, The Daughter of Smoke and Bone series by Laini Taylor. Right, I'm only picking up the first book, that's too heavy. So The Daughter of Smoke and Bone series by Laini Taylor. I adore this series. Anyone who knows me knows Laini Taylor is possibly my favourite author of all time, very close to, probably tied at the top at least. And this is the series of hers I read first, and I absolutely adore it, but I couldn't possibly pick a favourite book. The first one is beautiful, it's set in Prague, which is a fascinating setting, and I love it, and I love the world building of finding everything out. The second one starts to really develop the characters and you start learning so much more about the world, and the plot really starts to pick up, and there's also a lot of tension between the two main characters. And then the third one's the big climax and you're sort of witnessing this war and it's phenomenal, and I can't pick a favourite. They all have such amazing aspects, which is strange. Normally for me in a series, the first book is almost always my favourite. A lot of people prefer final books because they have all the drama, but I love world building. But in every one of these books, you got more and more world building, so you never lost that. You also gained a huge amount of character development and plot. So I couldn't pick my favourite book. I am planning towards the end of this year to reread this series as it's coming up to its 10th anniversary. So who knows, maybe on a fresher read I will be able to pick a favourite, but for now, there's just no way. I love them all. The third prompt is honestly just making me laugh reading it, which is not like other girls, I didn't know I'm beautiful. What is a book that has a stunning cover but was really boring? And for this, I am going with Orphanage of Gods. You can see there, it's got this gorgeous human and god written in sort of clear material that you can only see when it reflects the light. And I requested the arc of this. That's how much I was anticipating it. It sounded fascinating. I honestly can't even remember what the blurb was now, what the synopsis was. Let's find out. Okay, yeah, I do remember this. This is about a race of gods which have got wiped out, and their children are basically hunted and killed because they don't want any more gods. And two of them manage to escape the orphanage they're kept in and kind of go on the run. I was so excited for this. I actually DNF'd it. I read, where's my bookmark? Oh, my bookmark's still in here. I read 102 pages out of about 400. And I read that over a year ago, but you'll notice I still have this book. I'm reluctant to let it go. Part of me wants to give it another try. Part of me thinks it could be good. It still sounds like a book that would be up my alley, but in the first 100 pages, I just didn't care. And I mean, evidenced in the fact that I couldn't even remember what the synopsis of this was, even though I've read a quarter of it. But nonetheless, I love this cover. I'm not as much a fan of the finished copy, but oh well. But I think this cover is beyond stunning. And yeah, definitely disappointed that I did not enjoy this nearly as much as I thought I would, but I might give it another go. The thing that makes me very, very, very reluctant to give it another go is if you like go on Goodreads, it's got like a 2.7 average, I think. Yeah, I just checked Goodreads. It does have a 2.9, so slightly higher, but if I'm honest, anything below a 3 on Goodreads is not great, and I do officially have this on my DNF shelf on Goodreads, but maybe one day I will revive it and give it another try. We'll see. So pretty, so disappointing. Maybe one day. The next prompt is All-Consuming Love, a book that gave you a book hangover. And firstly, brilliant tropes used for this, like as this book really is a book I love all-consumingly. But the thing I will say is I don't really tend to get book hangovers. I very much finish a book, put it down, pick up the next one. It is extremely rare for me to need a gap between books. I actually feel uneasy if I've not got a book that I'm currently reading. I like to always pick something up, so even when I finish a book really late at night, I will try and read a few pages of the next book I'm reading. I just prefer doing it that way, so this is a book that definitely stuck with me and kind of had me thinking about it a long time after I read it, but I'm pretty sure I picked up a book straight after anyway, as that's just what I tend to do. But this book for me is Middle Game by Seanan McGuire. I love this book. It's so complex, it's so interesting, the characters are phenomenal, the plot is fascinating. I don't even have enough adjectives to describe this book, but I think the reason it stuck with me so much is I didn't understand the ending. I love it. I'm very happy to have not understood the ending. It still impacted me, but I've had it a few times recently where I've tried to explain what happened at the end of this book and I realise I just can't. I'm not really quite sure what happened. I'm definitely planning a reread of this at some point because it really feels necessary, but yeah, I think that's the reason it stuck with me so much, because I was just pondering it and trying to work out what the hell I'd just read for a good long while after finishing this. So I would definitely say it counted as a book hangover. And I do also think that although I did read one other very good book in close proximity to this, it did very much impact my reading for a while after. I felt like none of the books were quite hitting the mark for a while after this, because this just hit me so hard and impressed me so much that it took quite a long time for me to find other books that were kind of living up to it, or at least my expectations have been lowered to a much more normal standard after reading the masterpiece that is this book. But as I said, this is the perfect trope to use for this, All-Consuming Love, because this is such an all-consuming book. When you read it, you really get absolutely drawn in. It's quite a chunky book. You can see all my tabs there. It's really quite a chunky book, but I read it so quickly. Like, you could easily read this in a day, even though it's almost 500 pages. And it just wouldn't get old, it wouldn't be slow. It's not necessarily the fastest paced book, there's a lot of breathing room in it, but it is so just grabbing and all-consuming when you're reading it that you could so easily power through this in a day if you wanted to. These prompts are so funny. So prompt 5 is Douchebag Boyfriend, and that is a book that took you a while to get into but you ended up loving. And for me, this is City of Brass. Now, I did love this from the beginning, but I loved the writing right at the beginning. The story, it's weird. Okay, the first like 20, 30 pages I got into instantly, and then it kind of reached a bit of a plateau for me for maybe 100 to 200 pages, which took me a while to kind of get through until the climax came, and then I really got into it again. So I did get into it quickly, but it didn't necessarily maintain my focus quite as much as I would have liked. It was brilliant, I ended up absolutely loving it, and I'm super excited to continue with this series. However, it was very much a case of I felt myself actively having to pick this up instead of naturally wanting to a lot of the time, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. That's often the way with slightly more challenging or detailed books that take more effort to read. But it was definitely something I noticed. But I'm very glad I read this. As I said, super excited to continue with the series. And I think I will get into subsequent books so much quicker. But yeah, this did take me a minute until I felt fully invested and until I was really managing to sit for like more than half an hour of time to read this, because I was having to do it in really small stints at the beginning to sort of make myself get through it. And then I really got into it and I read it really quite fast. And then we're down to the final prompt, the 6th prompt, and this feels like it's going to be such a short video. I've barely been filming for any time at all. And this is to tell us your favourite or least favourite tropes. So I'm going to go through a few for this. We'll start with favourites because those are nice and easy. The first is absolutely fake dating. I am such a sucker for the fake dating trope. I don't know why, it just makes me so happy when people who like don't think they actually like each other but evidently do end up getting together to put on some sort of front, and then all of a sudden they realise, well, one of them realises, oh wait, maybe, it's top tier. It's really cute. What else do I like? I also absolutely adore hate to love or rivals to lovers. I do enjoy enemies to lovers, but it can sometimes be a little bit sort of questionable because if someone's been really awful to someone else, then that's not necessarily great to turn into a romance. But rivals to lovers is phenomenal because there's so much tension. There's this intense rivalry where these people have like really are at odds, they really don't like each other, but they may not actually dislike each other as people. It's just a case of they're aiming for the same thing, or, you know, rivals. So there's so much tension which builds into like such a strong romance. And I also, again, it's that moment of realization which is just absolutely amazing. I do also sometimes like second chance romance, but it has to be done well because one of the things I hate, as I mentioned earlier, is miscommunication. So I can like second chance romance and sometimes I think it's really adorable, but if it's coming from a place where they only broke up because of miscommunication, unless it's handled really well and there was actually good reasoning behind it, it can frustrate me because obviously that's bringing miscommunication into it, which can be very frustrating. But yeah, for tropes I hate, top of the list is miscommunication. Tied top of the list is cheating. Just anything which could be solved with a conversation or by people being a good person, I'm not interested in. And then other than that, love triangles is like the trope that's coming to mind, but I can't really work out where to put it. I don't mind it if it's done really well, because again, I like the tension, I like the questioning, and it kind of turns into this slow burn, you don't know what's gonna happen. But what frustrates me is frequently with love triangles, there's a very obvious pairing, and then there's someone else off to the side who basically just interrupts it, and it's not a love triangle because it's so evident which way it's going to go. It's literally just someone getting in the way, which is a waste of time and a waste of space and a waste of words on a page, quite frankly. But anyway, I think that's pretty much it for this video. I will be tagging people down in the description, so go and check them out. However, if you've not been tagged, please consider yourself tagged if you want to do this. I know for so many years on blogging and stuff, I never got tagged in things and I just did them anyway, so always feel free to just do a tag if it looks interesting to you. You do not have to be tagged, and if you feel like you need to be, I am tagging you. So that is it for this video, so thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please leave a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. Subscribe if you'd like to see more content from me. All my other socials are linked down in the description, so if you want to check me out on any other platform, then you can do there. But that is it, so bye, and I'll see you in the next one.